Hey everyone, this is Axel from Johnny Topside Gaming. Today I'm going to talk about the new patch for World of Warships 0.4.1 that I've been playing on the public beta test server. If you guys are interested in playing on the public test server, let me know and I'll give you a tutorial on how to set up a new account that lets you play with all the new features. In this new version of World of Warships, there's something called ranked battles. People familiar with other wargaming games may know what these ranked battles are, but for others, basically ranked battles limits the ships and the types that you can take into a battle to make it more about player skill and less about, mismatched matchmaking. There's 7 players per team in the battle. There's only 1 CV allowed per team and 2 battleships allowed. So you're going to have a lot of destroyers, a lot of light cruisers running around and pulling a lot of the weight, which is how it would have been more realistically, is a lot of destroyers, a lot of cruisers. You have to be tiers 6 through 7. So really, there's only a few ships we're talking about: the Alba, and the Miyoko, and the Cleveland, which is going to be a good ship, and the Pensacola, which a lot of people don't like, but I think it's a good ship. It just plays differently than the Cleveland. Anyways, you're gonna see a lot of those cruisers in those matches. The in-game resources, you'll receive extra resources for each new tier that you achieve, and you gain these new tiers or ranking stars, as they call them, based on your battle performance. When you're in ranking star tier 1, you can't go down any, so if you lose a battle, you're not going to lose anything. But once you get past this first tier, you can gain or lose stars depending on your victory, loss status, or battle performance. In the future, they're talking about giving out unique rewards for these ranked battles. They haven't indicated what those rewards might be yet. Also in this patch are 2 new maps, the Strait and Solomon Islands. The Strait is a really nice map. It's a fairly large map. It's got pretty blue Mediterranean water, and the spawns in this map are split in the corners. Fortunately though, you spawn across from your teammates. Unfortunately, there's an island chain between your allies' spawns, so you're a distance of ocean away from the enemy across from you and an island chain away from your friendlies. I enjoy this setup more than the other map that has split spawns where you're surrounded by enemies on both sides of you. But overall, I think the map plays fairly well. The second map, Solomon Islands, has a couple large islands right in the center of the map. They provide a decent little channel for cruisers and destroyers to fight amongst themselves in the middle of the map, but you can also go around the outsides of the map and engage at longer ranges if you want to. There's also trees. Yes, this patch has finally added trees to all the islands, and it really enhances the immersion and the realism in this game. The level of detail from a distance of the trees doesn't look that great, but when you're looking through the trees and you can start to see the superstructure of a ship move up behind an island, it really increases the immersion for the game, at least for me, hopefully for you guys as well. Another change brought into the game by 0.4.1 was the increased accuracy of battleship guns. Watch this. This is a Wyoming firing a full broadside, and a very good proportion of the shells hit that ship. You try to do that in the current release game right now, and you're going to have a very hard time. Some of your turrets rounds are going to hit in front of the ship, some are going to hit behind the ship, most are going to land on either side of the ship, and you might get one, if you're lucky, doing 2,000 damage. Well, he hits you for 2,000 damage per shell, HE shell, non-stop. The dispersion on these guns is now very good in this version of the game. They claim they only increase the accuracy out to 3 kilometers. As you see, I'm firing at ranges much further than 3 kilometers, and I'm receiving much better accuracy. I'm using the Wyoming, by the way, because it has the most turrets, and I figured it would show the widest spread if the accuracy wasn't increased by that much. But I'm getting good spreads in this gun. Now, as to regards the accuracy, they said they increased it out to 3 kilometers. I don't know if they increased the accuracy shooting at 3 kilometers or if they increased the accuracy of the first 3 kilometers of the shell. The way they worded it seems like they would only increase the accuracy when shooting at short ranges, but I'm receiving overall a tighter grouping when shooting at enemy ships. So I don't know if this is like a whoops on their part. They've had many of them in the past and they've gone back and changed them, but I really hope this stays, because I honestly feel in the current the current version of the game, battleships really do need they need a straight up buff. Destroyers who want to come and kill them, they can't be citadeled anymore. If you shoot at the destroyer, you have hardly any chance of hitting the destroyer, and the AA on the ships is somewhat lackadaisical, at least for the US line, and you're just giant XP pinatas for everyone to beat the XP out of you. So these changes are good. I like them. I can't wait for you guys to try them and play with them. Hopefully you guys agree, because as far as I've seen, everyone except for CV players seems to love battleships. They're a lot of fun. That's what everyone wanted to. They would say, "Oh, I want to get in a battleship," when they play this game. Well, fortunately, we're going to see a return to some of the closed beta testing style battleship gameplay, where you can actually shoot at moderate ranges and you can hit at moderate ranges, and hopefully a lot of these battles are going to start to get spread out, because since open beta test, I feel like they've become condensed into little furballs. Another big change in this game: CVs have a new mode of firing for their fighters. Wargaming calls it their skill shot. Basically, as you see here, it looks like you're going to set up a torpedo run, but those are fighters. What you're doing is you're setting up a strafing run. You can't strafe surface targets, I know, I've tried, but anything caught within that cone of fire in front of you just gets torn up completely. It is dumbfire, so you have to wait for them to finish their run before you can tell them to do anything else. However, it's a nice tactic. I feel like it brings some skill, because a lot of the problems that I've seen while playing CVs in game now is that if you've got US carriers, you have your fighters completely upgraded, you have the fighter's skill that gives slower fighters the advantage in combat, then the Japanese don't stand a chance. Which is why now you see the default setup for most American carriers is they bring 2 fighter groups, or all the fighter groups they can, whereas the Japanese carriers bring their strike groups, because there's no chance of them dogfighting evenly anyway, so it's a cat and mouse game. Now, however, if the other carrier has skill and can bait you or gets the jump on you, then he can completely destroy your fighters and you don't even know what's happening. I believe this happened to me a couple times, and I thought it was a glitch, because since they don't directly attack your fighters by clicking on them, you don't get the "we're under attack" warning. You just lose a squad if they get a good shot on you. And I was like, where'd my squad go? What happened? And it may be a glitch, but I have a feeling that someone strafed them and I didn't even notice it, and they were just completely wiped out. As you see here, I'm just mopping up. The downside to this skill shot, as they call it, is that it uses at least half of your ammunition. I have been able to get 2 strafing runs out and then have 1 bar of ammunition left for some typical dogfighting, but it's going to really force you to take your fighters back to the carrier to rearm more. And one last big change that everyone's going to be happy to hear is CV equality. Matchmaking is going to have the same number, same tier of CVs on both sides. I've noticed because of this, the matchmaking is much longer, but much appreciated. Once again, this has been Axel from Johnny Topside Gaming. I see you all on the high seas.